My aim for this video is to recognize an idea that was contained throughout this course that stood out to me. And what stood out to me and what meant the most to me was the research, study, and analysis that was all centered around the musical minds of infants. Recognition of music cognition in early infancy, as described in the earlier units, needs additional research to bring more validity to the subject. Recent findings revealed that the infant's long-term representations of speech and music include surface attributes of the stimulus to which they are exposed. For example, infant's memory for spoken words is initially talker-specific, and memory for music is initially timbre and tempo specific, meaning that people in their infancy and at the most basic of their memory recall and remember sounds by who or what is making the sound. Also, memory cues still exist from the stimuli of tempo, which is a result of the familiarity with the stimuli to which they are exposed. This shows that the mind of the youngsters is constantly relating sound to the device or person making the sound. I can apply this understanding of the young musical mind to the education of youth. I have witnessed young-minded individuals recall and use information about various stimuli to make informed decisions. This is in spite of the mindset that some have towards some with these young ears. A careful examination of resources shows and reveals the belief that infants are limited listeners. This is made very obvious by some of the activities found in most music teachers' teaching tools. It seems that the most common belief is that the infant listener is unable to realize some of the more intricate nuances of hearing and listening. This is especially true for resources that include music found in the classical genre. I can link this statement to my experiences with the middle school students that I taught during my first year teaching experience. All through that time, I had to introduce my students to classical music. They had only been exposed to popular songs with catchy words and beats, so I ended up introducing them to music that had no words. My students also had no idea of timbre, but were able to grasp the idea of piano and forte dynamics. And bearing all of this in mind, I started simple with the most basic sense of listening to music, counting. After about 3 days' time, the children were able to correctly count the time signatures of 4/4 and 2/4 of very short passages. On the fourth day, I asked the students to count using a piano dynamic versus a forte dynamic. It actually worked very well. The children demonstrated to me that they had an understanding of what something needs to sound like. Though these children were far older than toddlers, listening principles still remain true. The knowledge of the intricacy of the infant's memory and cognition can be applied to all aspects of learning. And in thinking about it further, because the young mind is still developing, information about how it manages new information received needs to be further researched. There are plenty of other topics that I can go into detail on, but this is the main topic that stuck out to me, which was, once again, how young minds and young ears hear, and what they hear, and how they hear what they're used to hearing.